Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and we've got a great show of great interest to all of us here in Chautauqua County coming up in just a little bit. We're going to do some announcements and share a few things with you before we do. And I want to remind you that this is a live call-in show, that it's your show to share birthdays, anniversaries. If your organization has an event coming up, give us a shout. You can email us. You can call us here at 753-5225. You can Twitter us. You can do anything you want to us. You can get the information to us, and it's all free of charge. The show is dedicated to featuring all the good things right here in Chautauqua County. So don't be bashful, and if you're shy and you have a question today, you can call us, and the guys will write it down and they'll bring it in to me, or they'll send it to me by computer here, and we'll ask our guests that question. So I hope you're having a wonderful weekend already. I know, it's cold and it's wet and all that sort of thing, but we could be down south right now in the mid region of the country. I was just watching North Carolina, got 4 inches of snow overnight. Yeah. I say stay put. We might be okay this winter.
Better than us.
Better than us. Exactly right. Okay. Well, anyways, if you think about it, we had quite a bit of snow, rain over throughout the night, and if that was all snow, we'd probably have about 4 or 5 inches as well. They tell me that I think it's was it an inch of rain? No, how does that go?
3 inches.
3 inches of rain is an inch of snow. Okay.
1 inch of rain, 3 inches of snow.
Okay, great. Okay, so anyways, we're in pretty good shape right now, but it is pretty cool out there. I wanted to share with you, somebody had a birthday this weekend, and I saw that in the paper, and I'm more than happy to talk about these things. It says, guess who's 102? Wow. Her name is Viola Kling, and she's over in Absolute Care in Westfield. And I want to wish Viola happy birthday, 102. This reminds me of a little family story one day. My brother and I were talking about aging and how old that we'd like to be. And my brother and I, for some reason, have been very competitive over the years. We're a year apart. And no matter what I did, he tried to trump me, but I seem to always have the upper hand. He doesn't get the show, so he doesn't know I'm talking about him. Anyways, he announces to everybody one particular day that he'd like to be 100. And I thought, well, okay. I said, well, I'd like to be 101. And he says, you always got to outdo me. And I looked right at him. I said, well, I thought I'd like to be at your 100th birthday. It's the only way I get there, being a year older. So anyways, he backed off and he realized that I wasn't being competitive, but I was just trying to get older. Oh, well, age is a funny thing. But anyways, happy birthday, Viola. If you have a birthday, call in. It doesn't even have to be 102. It could be 99. Okay, over the week, or last night, and all through the week, everybody's been getting ready for Halloween. And I just want to report a few things to you that you may or may not know. As you know, many of you may have visited. I was involved with the Safety Education Village over in Asheville. And Terry Kinberg sent me the results of for 3 weekends. 1,100 people went through the Town of Terror over there. And that's quite a few. And then Wednesday, they had trick-or-treat night for the little kids. 2,500 people went through there. What does it tell you? The Safety Education Village is there for our kids in this community, this county, to provide a safe and fun environment that they can celebrate the holidays without having to worry about razor blades and garbage in your candy and things like that, and walking the streets where the cars can't see the kids. So anyways, congratulations, Safety Village folks, and all the folks that put that project together for our kids and families. Well done. I know that this number is up from, I guess is the highest number ever of participants, so that's great. Now you might be thinking, well, where's all that money go? The money goes right back into the village to support all the educational programs for our children. We have preschoolers go through there right up through, I think, 8th grade. They even talk about internet bullying and all those kinds of scary things that unfortunately kids get involved with and how to protect themselves. We talk about fire safety, pedestrian, bike safety, water safety, and on and on and on. So they have all kinds of programs, and it's for anybody in the region. And so this helps to undercut a lot of the cost to the village. Okay, coming up, I'm going to have a slide here. I got a call yesterday from my buddy Greg Peterson, who was with the Defenders of Freedom program out at the Robert Jackson Center in Jamestown. And Greg was on the show a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, and he was with Gary Chilcott from the Veterans Services. And Greg tells me they're still looking for World War II veterans. And this is the number that you can call. This is just like the telethon. See how I can do that? 489-2224. That's Greg's number. If you know someone that's willing to be interviewed, to tell their story about World War II, Greg and all the guys over the Robert Jackson Center, Jim Johnson, Gary Chilcott, and so forth, they are there to videotape these gentlemen and ladies that served in World War II, and they're preserving their stories. And they just don't want to miss anybody in the region. This could be somebody across the border into Pennsylvania. It could be up into Silver Creek, Erie County. It doesn't matter. We'll go to Ohio. They don't care. If they come to the Robert Jackson Center, they're going to get videotaped, and they're going to superimpose some of the scenes from World War II behind them, and they make it a really sharp presentation. And of course, this will go on forever on YouTube and so forth. Now, you may say, my father or my mother was in the war and they're not able to get out. Not a problem. The guys tell me they will travel. They have cameras and so forth, and they will go right to your house, their house, your grandfather's house, wherever, and they'll do the interview right there. So if you have a family member that was in World War II and they want to tell their story, please call Greg Peterson, 489-2224. We're going to be sponsoring that all month for our veterans that have served in various wars and campaigns, okay? So that's for you guys to remember. All right, next week coming up, Tuesday, big day, election day. The craziness will finally end once again for another, 11 months. Well, no, 10 months. I guess they go for a couple months of craziness. The guys here at the station put together debates, and we tried to get other folks to come in, and we got one debate going for you, but we weren't able to get the rest. Chris Burt did a real good job of attempting to do that. Hopefully next year, whoever's running next year, we'll try to get the debates going on here for you as well, so you can listen and hear what they have to say. I read a lot of the Post-Journal remarks, and I suppose the Observer as well, they probably were similar, but they really echoed what we all felt right here at the station. Jim Subject and I kind of reviewed the races on Tuesday, and I think it all comes down to you getting out. When I look over history, people fought and died to have the opportunity to say their piece, to have the opportunity to vote. And some countries still don't vote. It's still a dictatorship. There's still someone telling what everybody's going to do without an opportunity to have your voice heard. So let's exercise that right, and get out there and vote. I thought I'd go out on a limb today. I do that quite often. And I thought I'd make some predictions. So here goes my predictions of what I think is going to happen on Tuesday. You can call in. You can say whatever you want to say. I don't have a vested interest in any of these candidates. I don't have a way of predicting anything. I'm not paid by anybody. It's just me looking at the campaigns and knowing the history of some of the candidates. This is what I'm predicting. Let's go to the congressional race. Okay, Tom Reed has got a fight on his hands right now, the way I see it, and here's the reason. Shinagawa almost took him out last time. It was a very close race. Robertson has been working on him for over 2 years. Before, it seems like, I think Shinagawa just sat down and called it a day, and she picked it right up. She's been working hard at this campaign, and there's been some issues that Tom Reed was involved with at the congressional level that people, I don't think, are going to forget. So I'm going to predict it's going to be an extremely close race, and I'm going to predict maybe, all right, I can't say maybe, that's not a prediction. I'm going to predict Robertson's going to upset it by an extremely small margin, because I think it's going to be a really close race. Let's see who's right. At the governorship, I think it's a slam dunk. Cuomo is the incumbent. I don't know if Astorino has the horsepower to pull it off, so I'm going to predict Cuomo. The state senator race, it's going to be a close race, but I think Kathy Young is going to pull it off. In fact, that's going to be my best prediction. All right, she's running unopposed. As far as the state assembly race, I think this is going to be an interesting one. I know Andy's the incumbent. I'm going to give him a slight edge on this one, but I think Barry Yoakum has been working really hard, and as the Post-Journal, and right here at Chautauqua Sunrise, we agreed, we said at first, that the two were gentlemen. They campaigned, they debated like gentlemen, and they have behaved like gentlemen, and I just couldn't be happier to see two candidates act that way. I think it's going to come down to whether you like what Andy's been doing, or if you like what Barry has to say. I think it's going to be a close race. I think it's going to tip towards Goodell, but it could be an upset. I don't know. As far as the Gerasi-Payne race, I think once again you've got an incumbent. Joe has done a good job. I think people like Joe. I think Payne has been kind of quiet on the sidelines. I know he's been using some technology and things like that and got signs everywhere, but I'm going to predict Gerasi on this one because he's the incumbent and he's a known figure in the county. Other than that, I don't know the local races, so we'll let that be decided by you folks. But get out and vote. All right, the polls are open until 9 o'clock on Tuesday from what I'm told. All right, just as a reminder, I want to tell you that with the holidays coming up, I about gagged on my breakfast this morning. How the kids are still just unpacking their trick-or-treat candy, and today they had Christmas commercials on. I guess Christmas shopping already started, I mean, like weeks ago, evidently. I went into some of the big-name brand stores recently, and you know, the Lowe's, the Walmarts, the Home Depots, and they've got Christmas trees up for like the last 2 weeks. I have a sworn agreement and statement that I'm not to say anything negative about the holidays with my wife, and I know she does check in on this show once in a while, so I can't break my agreement because the consequences would be dire, and somewhere in my sleep I probably end up without a beard or something. But anyways, we're in the throes of the holiday seasons, and they've already started something that's not Black Friday, not Cyber Monday, but they've already had these big sales already, so get your wallets out. Here we go again. All right. But what I want to tell you is, if you do have a holiday event coming up, and this goes for the veterans as well, if you have something that's coming up that you want to let us know about, a pancake fundraiser, a special veterans service, if it's a holiday fundraiser, something or other in your communities, let us know at the station. We'll be happy to advertise it for you and let people know about it. Let us know early. Don't wait till the last second. We'll get it on the show. Either send us a PDF, which is like a poster, and we'll pop it up here like we've done over the days and months, and or just let us know the information. We'll get it on the air for you. Okay, so that's the holidays coming up, and that's including Thanksgiving and all the others that are coming at us. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, let me see what this says. Oh, yes. My mother always had a great joy in reminding me of this, that it's that time of year. It's fall back or spring forward. She would say that every year. Tonight, somewhere around 2 o'clock in the morning, I think that's the witching hour, is you turn your clocks back 1 full hour. So don't end up in church too early tomorrow, and if you are like a night owl like me, it'll be great. You get an extra hour of sleep. This may not be good for the dog because he may get up earlier because he's kind of already broken. So we'll see what time he gets up. But he gets Barb up really early every morning. So anyways, check those clocks. Get out and vote. Let's see if my predictions are right. And if you know some veterans, let's get them over to the Defenders of Freedom program and let's get their story told. I'm Doc Hamels. This is Chautauqua Sunrise. We're going to take a break here, a public service announcement, and we'll be back with our guest.
Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 58 years old.
For me, it was heart-wrenching.
It takes a toll on everyone. I mean, it's a depressing disease to watch unfold before your eyes.
You just don't see the person's soul is like gone.
This disease just ravages a family.
It changes your life.
The magnitude of it is indescribable.
Now is the moment. If we work together, we can stop this epidemic.
Contact Bright Focus and learn more.
Okay, just join us. Grab that cup of coffee, hot chocolate or tea, whatever it is, and sashay up to your TV or your computer. You could be watching us, I guess, on the computer because we're going to be later uploaded onto YouTube. If you haven't been to our website or Facebook, let's make that Facebook. We're still looking for likes. We're up to 130 likes. If there it is, just my name anyways. If you go to Facebook and put Chautauqua Sunrise, it'll come up. And if you like us, then we're going to be sending, there's the information there. Thank you, Jeff. If you like us, then we will be linked together forever. And as things pop up, as we have various guests or announcements, you'll get those announcements before anybody else in the whole world. How cool is that? Okay. All right, let's get on with the rest of the show. I promised them I was going to kind of frame things here before we got started. So what we're going to be focusing on today is the saga of the sea lion. I think that's even what I call today's show. I remember when I first started teaching back in 1974 for the BOCES down here. Oh, I got a Tinkerbell here is already saying something here. What does this say? Okay. That's an advertisement. I'll get to that in a minute. When I was teaching for BOCES 1974 and forward, somewhere in the late 70s, I remember we had moved from where I was in Lakewood and we had come up to the new BOCES Center at the Hughes Center. And my very good friend and dear friend, he's older than me, but he's still my dear friend, Bob Terryberry. He got this thing going where we signed this big, long proclamation, all the kids at the school, and I think we ended up with a couple hundred signatures, and I believe we all pitched in $1 a piece. $1 was quite a little bit of money even back in '74 for the kids, so this was a special opportunity for the kids to get involved. And I don't even know how much money we raised. Bob was the keeper of the money. But the point was, we all agreed and supported something called the Sea Lion Project. And I remember that we put together a field trip where we went someplace, I believe it was in Mayville, I can't remember. It was one of those, like we were on the bus and it was dreary and I was worried about where the kids were more than where I was actually physically at. But we went to this great big building and in there it reminded me of a big dinosaur because it was like bones sticking up, but it was the ribs of the sea lion. And this guy was running around with this great big wooden mallet and he was describing how the ship was being built and so on. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I clearly remember somewhere probably it was the late 70s, that we had firsthand experience of seeing the Sea Lion Project up close and personal and so on. Now you might say, well, why in the world are you even talking about that? The sea lion still exists to this day. It had its ups and downs, and I don't know where it's going to end up in the end here, but it's been an interesting story because it's sort of been part of our history here in Chautauqua County. It's been a project that lots of people have endured and supported, and it's got a very interesting history. And we were just talking before we went on the air that there's many of you that might be watching that maybe weren't even born yet. that don't know the real story behind the sea lion. So right now I want to introduce my guest. We're going to introduce Ann Weidman, who had a very integral part of the history of this as far as doing a lot of the recording of the history of it, and she put together a booklet on it. And John Cheney, who, well, we'll find out what your role was. I know you're like the godfather of a lot of things around here. So I want to welcome both of you to the show this morning.
Thank you.
So we're going to start with Ann first. And you said earlier that you were born in the Poconos. So are you a mountain woman, or?
Now, don't get carried away.
All right, don't get carried away. So, but you were born in the Pocono area, though, right?
Yeah.
And then, so how'd you get to this area?
My husband, job, brought him to Welch's.
Oh, so both of you came over.
Yes.
Okay.
We came from Lancaster.
Oh, that's Amish country.
Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Not Lancaster.
Lancaster. Yeah, it's Lancaster up by Buffalo. It's Lancaster down south.
Yes, it is.
I know that area. That's a beautiful area.
I know it is.
Okay. So how long have you been up here now?
43 years.
43 years.
Do you know that we moved, my family, we came here on the 4th of July.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on the Mayflower. Okay.
And no, we came on the 4th of July in 1971. And they were so happy to have us come that they shot off fireworks that night.
Wow. But you know, I wasn't covering the parade that year. There will come a time they'll say, he's still doing that parade.
You were too little.
I was too little. I wasn't even living down here yet, so 71. So it was just a couple of 3 years before I moved down here. So,
oh, is it?
Yeah, I moved, like I said, January of 74.
Where'd you come from?
Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You
and
went to Buffalo.
Education, and my job brought me down here, so my first teaching job.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you raised a family here, and you've been very involved. And what did you do for a living?
I was a reporter.
Well, I know that, but they don't know that. I ask questions I already know the answers to.
I was a reporter for the Westfield Republican papers when they were really good papers.
And now they're just good papers, or they're excellent?
They just come out every week.
Okay, and so you were a reporter for the Westfield Republican. So you got to cover a lot of the regional stuff, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
Did you write for the Post Journal as well?
Yeah, for a couple years after I left the Republican.
Okay, and I know we digress on the paper, and we'll get off that subject for a minute, but you know, I wrote for the Westfield Republican too.
Did you?
Yeah, in 82 and 83, I was a stringer and for the Post.
Oh yeah?
So yeah.
Oh, I was gone by then.
Okay, but I know that you've done a lot of writing and you do a lot of public relations for different organizations. And in this particular case, we're talking about the sea lion, you put together this brochure.
Well, you see,
how did you get involved with all that?
Well, it all started when I left the Post-Journal, and Don Hogan, who really started the Chautauqua County Visitors Bureau, had a different name, but he started that. And he hired me because he wanted publicity, so forth, and that was my job with that organization.
So various events or special things that were going on?
Yeah. But when I was with the Republican was when Ernie Cowan called a meeting for all reporters in the area.
So it was like a press conference?
Yeah, we came over to his house, his and his wife and Cherry, and he announced that he was going to bring the Sea Lion Project to Mayville. From Westfield.
Okay.
He started on his father's property, and eventually the Coast Guard came along and told him that if he was going to build this old ship, he had to put on up-to-date pieces that would save the ship in case...
Safety equipment and so on, yeah.
Well, Ernie was... That was not a go for Ernie.
He wanted it...
He wanted original, and he was going to have original, and he said no thanks. Well, then he found out that Chautauqua Lake was smaller. didn't have that rule.
Okay, let's hold that story right there.
Okay.
Let's roll the tape back maybe a couple of years. So how did Ernie even get involved with this project? Where did it come from? Because you tell the story very nicely, and here's maybe in your own words. How did you get involved? Where did it come from? You just don't all of a sudden wake up one day and, decide you're going to build a big old ship.
Right. Well, since I wrote this, can I just read that
You can do
little
it.
bit?
It's your show.
Okay. In the beginning, there was a dream. There was a stand of virgin white oak, and they were friends. People who didn't think Ernie Cowan was at all balmy when he decided to construct a replica of a 16th century English merchant sailing vessel.
Wow.
There also was sacrifice, not only for Ernie, who could have lived a fairly comfortable, normal, everyday life with a routine job, but also for his family, wife Cindy, and children Krista and Lee. Krista and Lee were very small at that time. But if that's what Ernie wanted to do, then Cindy decided she would stand behind him all the way. When the Sea Lion left her berth at the head of Lake Chautauqua, May 22nd, 1985, and made her way across the northern end of the lake to her summer mooring place, Cindy was not the only one whose tear ducts opened wide. After 15 years devoted to one project, Ernie's wife and friends cried for the sheer joy of seeing that the work was done. Or was it? But that's another part of the story that comes later.
Okay. So it sounds like then about 1970 he kind of got this idea, and I think he was visiting, according to your story, Plymouth.
Yes.
And he saw the Mayflower too.
Yes.
And he said, wow, that's really cool. Wouldn't it be fun? Now, the trees, there was a grove of trees. Where was the grove of trees? Was that in Chautauqua County here?
Oh, yeah, that was in Chautauqua County. A family friend, Carl Lyon, owner-operator for many years of a Westfield lumber mill, knew the quality of wood that would be required to build Ernie's ship, and he knew exactly where to find it. There was a stand of 350 to 400-year-old virgin white oak.
You said 350-year-old?
Uh-huh.
My God, how big around would that tree be? They'd be about as big as this table, I would think.
Probably. The virgin oak, among the last of such timber remaining in this part of the country. On the farm of John and Asa Cheney near Bemis Point.
Okay. So the trees came from the local area. Somehow the Cheneys get involved. But here's the part that I thought was extremely interesting. All this time, all these years, I thought the Sea Lion was the name of a ship that was maybe a British ship that maybe sunk or burned, and he named it after that. But that's not the case.
Carol Lyon, in whose honor Ernie named the ship the Sea Lion. He just changed the spelling of lion.
And he took his initials, C
Yes.
for Carl,
Yes.
E for the middle name, so
Right.
C, Lion, and then changed the spelling, because Lion was
Right.
spelled Lyon. All these years I didn't know that.
Well,
That's a really cool piece of
I guess
history.
a lot of people don't know that.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
now jump into the Cheney family here, and let's find out, John Cheney, your family name is, now is this who's John and Asa? Is that you?
Asa was my father, John was my grandfather.
Oh,
And they would the whole come off of the farm, and the reason for that, when Ernie come down to see us, he talked to Richardson's Boat Works in Buffalo. And they had taken this white oak timber for years for their boat works in Buffalo, and that's the way Ernie got a hold of
All right.
and come down. And my wife, if she was here talking, would tell her how she first met Ernie Cowan, because he come at the back door.
you might as well tell the whole story, because she's not coming on, she told me.
Oh, well, she answered the back door, and there stood a big deputy sheriff and says, "Is John Cheney home?" And she says, "Yes, what has he done now?" And that's the way we started out. But I'd known Ernie and the Cowans for years, because they was in the woodworking business, they knew what wood was and what it was, and it was a virgin oak with the original growth and all of that. And we just went ahead, and between the Cowans, the Lyons, and the Cheneys, furnished the wood and the labor and the expertise and built the sea line.
Now, John, how wide would those trunks of those trees been? Would they have been about the size of this table or something along those
Well, it would be more circle of it.
More circular?
The biggest of them was 5-6 foot across at the base, and they go up in the air, up to saw timber, up to 60, 70 feet. And
oh my gosh.
they was up there, and that's what he needed for the ship. And due to circumstances, the expressway was coming through at that time, and they was going to go through the woods and take the timber anyway. And
So
the trees was worth more than the right-of-way was.
Wow.
But they wouldn't get it, so we arranged it. We donated the trees to the Sea Line project.
Now, Ann, I think...
Can we back up a little bit?
Sure.
Because you wonder how Ernie got this idea and why. But he says that if you picture a young boy,
Okay.
barely into his teens, standing on the deck of the Mayflower II in Plymouth, Massachusetts, that's where his parents took him for a little visit. Oh, how he admired the workmanship that built such a beautiful ship. But something was missing. Wouldn't it be great if it could actually sail? Was his first thought. His next thought was that he would like to build a ship just like that, one that would sail and carry passengers. So that's where Ernie got his
All right, so he
idea.
actually was from probably 13 years old, you said barely in
Yeah.
his teens, so 12, 13 years old,
Yep.
standing there getting inspired. And that's sort of like one of those all-American dream stories, you know? I mean, it's such a great story, and so forth. So then,
But he was a deputy with the sheriff's office at the time, and eventually he just gave that up too and
he was
devoted
totally
everything.
consumed by it. All right. Now, let's just one little more on the trees part of it. So then, if I understood this right, so he needed about, was it 10 trees, did I read? Something along those lines? Or how many trees did they actually need? Remember?
6.
6.
He personally selected 6 trees from the stand and donated use of his mill. This is Carol Lyon who did this.
Okay. That only 6 trees to build a ship. They must have
From
been
those
some
trees
trees.
From those trees came 27 logs,
My
many
goodness.
20 feet in length, and from the logs more than 10,000 board feet of virtually not free, that's K-N-O-T,
Not free,
lumber for the ship's frame
Free of knots.
were produced.
Unbelievable. John, are there any of those trees still standing? Or are they all gone?
They're all gone.
Oh, man.
When the state come through, the one of them they didn't take. We could go and dig it up today because they just cut it and buried it because it was in the right of way to the expressway. I
Oh, my
know where it
God.
is today.
Oh, you're
But
kidding
that
me.
happened to be a red oak instead of a white oak.
Oh, okay.
The white oak is a closer grained wood,
Sure.
and that's the reason they went with the oak.
How's it possible that trees can grow that old in this area? I mean,
Well,
they've been timbering and lumbering and knocking trees down for furniture over the years, and was just something that your family protected over the years, or they must have seen the value in it? I mean, how long is does this go back that John had the property? Was it like generations before him?
we stole it from the Indians.
Okay, I see why your wife is concerned.
Because the Cheneys come and settled across the lake, and this is the history of that,
Okay.
is that we owned from the Pennsylvania state line to Chautauqua Lake, and we traded 2 acres of land on that side of the lake for 1 acre on the other side of the lake.
Okay.
For the simple reason, because of the hardwood timber. In the hardwood timber, you got more pearl ash out of the ash, and in clearing the land, the pearl ash was the first cash crop that went out of Chautauqua County other than furs and meat.
Pearl ash, I don't know what that is.
It's gunpowder.
Okay.
Putting it into local terms.
Okay.
It's what gunpowder is made out of.
All right.
And they shipped that down to New Orleans, out and across to England.
So you had some type of furnaces that made the ash, I assume?
No, it was the hardwood timber, the hickory, the oak.
But you had to burn that down, right?
Well, they burned it up and washed the ashes out.
Okay.
And those fire pits are where the overlook is on I-86 now.
Oh, in Beavis.
And they held that up for pretty near a year because they wouldn't listen to what they was told. And the University of Buffalo come down and done what they call a dig.
Archaeological.
And it was ridiculous. And but that was the 3 different pits that they washed the ashes.
Okay, so they did all that here locally.
But that was his beginning history of the sea lion.
Did not know that. All right, so we've got Ernie, a young boy. Wow, this is a great idea. Then he eventually gets a bunch of people interested. Carl Lyon provides the trees. No.
He's the sawmill. He's
got the sawmill. You got the trees.
Lyon's brothers, Bert Carlisle.
Okay.
Bert Carlisle was the father.
Okay, so you got the trees, and then that's all shipped to Buffalo?
No, they went to Mayville and was sawed in Mayville, stuck up for 3 years.
Okay, had it dry.
As the air dried, and a lot of it was in Westfield. To haul to Westfield. Ernie was in the process of building the model and working the ship up from that.
Okay.
I don't know how much detail you want to go into, but you know, to get where this thing's going, we're going to run out of time before we get
still
started.
have 22 minutes. We're good. We're good. Okay, well, let's just take a breather here. I'm Doc Hamels, and you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and we've got Ann Weidman and John Cheney here, and we're talking about the history and all the interesting details behind the project called the Sea Lion that goes back to the 70s. Okay, so let's get back to the storylines. So you said he made a model. So where did he get the diagram or the information? I mean, are these things readily available where you can get information on a British merchant ship from the 1600s?
Yeah, he did.
He went back. Ernie done all of this, and his dad Ed was Ernie's dad, Ed Cowan, and he was a carpenter and woodworker by trade. And between them, in them 3 families worked together, and you got to give Ernie credit for sticking with it for all those years and ending up with a work of art that cannot be repeated any place in the world today.
Right.
And
so it's a local treasure.
It is.
Okay.
And to let it go to rack and ruin through political, I won't get into that.
All right. We'll hold on that. And you were covering this story. What do you think the big picture, the big dream of this? Okay, he built it, which was a monumental task to begin with. But what was the end game here? What was the thinking about? What are you going to do with this ship?
Well, as I said earlier, he saw a ship in New England, but he wanted one that was going to sail.
Okay.
And that's what he did.
He didn't want a museum. He
he wanted it to sail, and he did it.
Okay. How long did it sail?
Not very long. Unfortunately, when it sailed from Mayville south to, let's say as far as Chautauqua, that was great. That was fun. I had a ride on it.
I never got a chance.
But it couldn't come back up by itself.
Oh.
So they had to have smaller boats
Tow it back up.
to tow all back up. But that was okay.
That's okay.
That was for what it was for.
Well, you see that even in big harbors today. You got these great big huge cruise ships. They're all kind of tugged in.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So was this ship supposed to be tourist attraction? I mean, was it what was he going to do with it besides sail it? I mean, you can't just have a ship. You got to pay for it and upkeep and so forth. Who worked on it and all that stuff? Either one of you can jump in. John?
Well, I would say is that Ernie had it in his dream in the Lions got together, and this was a dream for the kids to show what craftsmanship was. This was made with the original tools. They made the tools, the steaming. The thing that interested me the most was the steam that Ernie worked out to steam that oak ribs, those big long oak ribs. And we made 3 different rails before we got the first one finished, because they would pop because we didn't put enough steam in the right place.
So you had
because it come out and rolled them top rails on the ship. They're still on the ship today over in Westfield.
So how long were these pieces of wood that you had to steam?
Well,
Pretty long.
you've done a little bit, quite a long time. I mean, Ernie's got all those figures. It's we call it the ship's log.
Okay.
And but the thing was to show the educational value of the wood and what went into it and how it was made, and to sail it. And like Ann says, it would not necessarily sail one way. Sometimes you'd get it down, the wind would change, and we'd have to tow it home. But we had a good time.
I bet that
and
was
it
a
was
beautiful
really
sight.
enjoyable. But it showed what, and you got to remember that ship was the size that goes with a Pinta of Columbus's 3 ships.
Okay.
And this is that size of that. And when we had the kids, we run them at Westfield after we got back, when I got involved in it again, after we lost it, and we brought it back from Buffalo. The kids went on board, and where did they sleep? There was a hook over there.
Slept outside?
Here. No, it was on the lower deck.
Okay.
Inside.
Okay.
And where's the bathroom?
Chamber pot.
It wasn't called a pot, and I won't bother. But
that's why I call it.
But they just couldn't believe the clothes in the number of people it was in. And that was a 16-ton, what you might call it, merchant.
So how many people would normally be on one of those ships?
Oh,
Not many.
up to 30.
30.
But usually a crew of about 12 to 14.
Okay. All right. Let's hold on a second. I think the guys had some stock pictures. Now, Jeff, do we have pictures? Oh, darn. Okay, well, maybe. Darn. Well, I know Chris had some last week. Maybe he can fish some up for us while we're talking here. But we did have some pictures of it that I know was on a website. So, all right, so 12 to 14 people, 30 people maybe total. I've seen the Sea Lion. It's sitting in Barcelona Bay right now. I can't imagine being on that
I don't think it was that many.
vessel. Well, maybe with passengers for short trips.
I was speaking of the kids that we would put on the
The
boat
little kids.
at one time.
So 12 to 14, okay, I guess that might be doable.
The crew wouldn't probably be more than a dozen at the most.
So this ship was based on a ship that would have been in the 1500s? 1400s?
Yeah, 1500s.
1500s. So something like the Mayflower, kind of,
Yeah.
like you said. So,
Very-
Based it on.
but the Mayflower was bigger than that? Because there's more than 30.
One.
You know, Mayflower was one of the 3 ships in Maria.
No, you're thinking of Columbus
Pinta.
now. You're thinking of Columbus.
Yeah.
The Mayflower would have been with the Pilgrims.
Oh, the Pilgrims would be a bigger ship.
And did you have some information on that?
Yeah, it's facts about the Sea Lion. The 90-ton vessel has been cut, shaped, carved, beveled, fitted, positioned, fashioned, and sealed entirely by hand. And I got to throw in here, I usually got a kind of a kick out of Ernie, because when somebody thought they had something, a piece that he could work with, he'd look at it and he'd say, nope, it's not 1500. And he just stuck to that.
Okay, he was
But
a purist.
the Sea Lion flies 1,300 square feet of sail made from imported Scottish flax, the material used in the 16th century England, and rigged with 9,000 pounds of specially made hemp line,
Okay.
imported from Denmark. She contains 10,000 wooden bungs and 5,000 wooden pegs in her hull.
So those are things that actually held the boards together. Put in a peg in there?
Pins.
Pins, okay.
Only two instruments, a compass and a straight edge, were used in her design and drawing specifications. A 16th century shipwright's plumb bob level, handmade, was used to set her patterns straight and true. She was an accurate working replica of a 16th century three-masted, fully square-rigged ship created in the United States for the express purpose of carrying the public under sail.
There's the, okay. So, if I can go back to what he was doing, I remember he had a mallet or a big hammer, but it was big wooden thing and it was all wood. Does my memory serve me correctly? It looked like something Fred Flintstone would use, a big wooden thing, and he would hit the pegs with those or the pins?
Well, the mallet there was probably 8 inches to 10 inches in diameter, depended on, but it was made of wood too.
You must have
strap.
Pretty good muscles to do all that. Oh my gosh.
Well, they did back then.
Yeah. So, with all these pretty limited tools, but very accurate, evidently, how did all you guys, or how many people worked on it? Just Ernie by himself and his father?
No. There was
literally
hundreds of people worked on that ship off and on. There was a crew. A lot of this was done in his basement, in his dad's basement, and in buildings outside, and then they got we called it the barn down in Hartfield Bay, and
that's where we went, Hartfield.
Yes, sir.
That's where we went. Okay,
and that was where was built and put together the real ship in Hartfield, and that was where it was launched, and that was where your book come in, is the launching of it. And
I think we got to say here too, though, that the two people who were with him from the beginning to the end were his father-in-law, Stanley Drake, and a very good friend, Patrick Foster.
Okay. So where did they learn to do these things? I mean, I know you said they were woodworkers, but that's
the will to do it.
Will to do it. So they must have studied and researched and researched.
He studied.
This was truly a labor of love.
Well, this is what people don't realize today is the craftsmen that we had back then. And Ernie developed into one of the greatest craftsmen this area ever had or knew in the woodworking industry. Because if he didn't have a tool, he made one. And we spent more time discussing what we was going to do than what they did do.
Planning is everything.
And I would get so frustrated because
you want to
plan forever. I mean, let's drive nails, but no, we couldn't drive nails. You put wooden pegs in, and then they made the nails, the square nails, the original ones. I've got Kago, but all of these are going down, and you know the history of it. And I don't know if you're through with your end. You finish up, and then I'll.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's
there's only a little bit more here.
Okay, let's take a breather. We got a phone call.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so should we take a call?
We got a phone call.
All right, so good morning, caller.
Ann, this is Linda Spalding. It's so good to see you. And Mr. Cheney, it's so good to see you. And how great it is that you're talking about voting in such a timely manner on the show.
Why is it timely?
Well, Tuesday's coming up.
That's
voting! I thought you said boating. Okay, I got you now.
I have to enunciate. I'm sorry.
It's an earpiece in my head. My ear doesn't hear well. Okay, so what's going on these days, Linda?
Well, I have a trivia question for all of you, and I don't know if you touched on this. I'm sorry, I was out with my dogs a while ago.
Trivia question. Okay.
You know the old voting machines that we don't use anymore?
Yes.
Do you know where they were all produced?
Jamestown? At the
Jamestown Automatic Machines was made in
ABM,
Jamestown.
That's
right.
correct.
I bet you.
Down on Gifford Street.
Yep. That's where they came from.
Yay, team!
Yep.
So what's our prize?
Who's the man? Made them.
Well, the weather will be nice when you go out voting on Tuesday, I guess.
Okay, so you got the weather report. All right. So what's going on in your world these days?
Well, we are announcing our computer training. We're looking for more people to come. We have a site that's been, he has a new peer coach. It's Alan Evans at the Westfield Peterson Library.
Okay.
Also in Brockton at the Elhira Brockton Library, Dunkirk Free Library, Jamestown Office for Aging. It's free, and the peer coaches are computer savvy, and they can direct people through basics and another aspects that we are promoting right now. People are going to have to go online to get their benefit letters for Social Security, so they're going to have to open their own Social Security account. And our peer coaches will help people and have them open their own account, which I think is great.
Okay, super.
We also have jobs looking for people for our Senior Aid program. Also, people are coming off the program and going into other jobs. We do have a waiting list, but it looks like it's moving a little bit, we hope.
Okay, terrific. All right, well, you get out and vote next week, okay?
Yes, and also there's counseling at the Office for the Aging.
There's always more.
For health insurance and other services. The number is 753-4471.
Okay, Linda, thanks for calling. We'll talk to you next time, okay?
Okay, have a great weekend, and it's so great to see your two guests.
Okay, great. Okay, well, Ann, while you're talking, we're going to pop up some pictures of the sea lion. My crew is like awesome here.
Okay.
And so let's get those pictures up whenever you're ready. You had a couple points you wanted to make, and then John's going to take the story from where you leave off.
Right. Okay.
There's the picture of it.
All I want to say is that, first of all, if anybody wants to read this whole thing that I wrote, stop in at the Mayville Library.
Okay.
They have a copy.
It's called The Sea Lion.
The Sea Lion, right.
Okay.
Now, my final say is those who contributed to and watched as it was built, became a part of such magnificent project, are saddened by what has happened to it. Perhaps John Cheney has news that will make us feel better.
Okay, now John, here's a photo right now. That's pretty much what the ship looks like, sort of right now sitting in Barcelona. But I think it's...
That was the way it looked like when we...
First got it back from Buffalo.
Raised it from Buffalo Harbor, and when we put it in, that was taken the first year we had it in Barcelona. Randy helped us put that together. Yes.
Okay. So those pictures were provided by the guys here, but you're going to tell us the rest of the story. So 85, the ship is commissioned. It's out sailing the 7 seas of Chautauqua Lake, but then what happens?
Probably better that I don't tell what I think on this.
Yes.
You tell us
But I'll
facts
go in
here.
1993, the appeal was denied, and the ship went to Buffalo.
Okay, so you...
We'll call it Downey Enterprises, or whatever you want to call it.
Right, so...
But this was a real touch-and-go situation, and best, I'll say something that, as my wife says I shouldn't, and I'll get to swear.
No swearing on the show.
But on May 8th, 1992, it left Bemis Point and went to Buffalo.
Okay.
And in 1999, on February 25th, I gets a call and early one morning that the Sea Lion is floundering in the ice and it's going to be smashed up in Buffalo.
Okay.
And it was docked at this pier in Buffalo where the fireboats are, and they was worried about it damaging the fireboats. And the way to knew that one of the firemen from the fireboat had a cottage down on our lakefront and was very interested in the Sea Lion. And they cut up, and that was. Then in 2000, in July, it was trapped in the harbor, and then it sunk.
Oh, gosh.
And in July of 2000, we raised it and cleaned it, brought it to Barcelona. And I can't help but say this, but if we done everything that was required by law, and that was the reason the sea lion, the back boat broke the back of the sea lion project, was because of the rules and regulations for modern convenience, or whatever you want to call it. And the first one that comes up to my dad had brought the Sea Scouts from Cleveland, Ohio in to the harbor in Mayville there, where it was docked, and it was in the water, and they was rigging it. And it come noon, and somebody hollered McDonald's, and there was about 18 Sea Scouts, and they bailed out of the top of that rigging and into the water, splash, splash, splash. And that was the end of the Sea Scouts, because we had no safety nets, we had no nothing. You can't have them there, and that washed it up. And that is when the Cheneys, you might say, left it the first time, as much as we thought of it in that. And then it went, and you people know any of it. But then in 2000, I can't read my wife's writing. No wonder I don't have my glasses on. In November 2000, Restoration Group Incorporated, that was when the group we got now was incorporated and got control of the sea lion. December 1st, they offered to
get to Virginia,
transport the mass. In June, we displayed it in the Chautauqua Library. That was a replica of it.
Hey, John, I got to hold you up, buddy. We're running out of time. So what's going to happen to it in 30 seconds or less now?
Okay, in 30 seconds or less, we hope through everything that will be what we made it for into St. Gracchus Park in Virginia, and we're in the legal negotiations of taking it down there, and we hope to had it done this last week, but it just hasn't happened, and because of the politics.
Sure. Well, John, I want to thank you for coming on and telling the story of it. It's been extremely interesting. Maybe there's more to the story. And 20 seconds. Anything you want to say about this whole project?
No.
You're good.
I'm just sad because I know so many people worked so hard and admired for doing this. We want it back, and we want to be able to use it.
But it's going to be in Virginia now, so we can go visit it, and hopefully someone's going to love it and take care of it, and it's going to continue on.
John will keep us posted.
Okay.
Well, this is it in the agreement down there, that this is the school children, and that is the project that's going to fund it of what's going on. And I can see a future.
All right. Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guests have been Ann Weidman and John Cheney. We could talk about this all day. Hey, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Get out and vote on Monday. If you know a veteran, call the Defenders of Freedom program. We'll see you all again next Saturday morning right here at 9 o'clock, Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels. You take care. Did I say Monday?